Mr. Loverman, Izzy. Hey y'all, it's your captain for all things creative, coming at you with Love is Blind Season 5, Episode 1 through 4, reaction and takeaways. So, if you're new to this channel, welcome. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you like the content. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for rocking with us. And let's get into these episodes. So, before we start with, episodes 1 through 4, if you're not familiar with Love is Blind, just know it's an experiment that really is about getting to see if people can fall in love without seeing someone. So they have these pods where they're able to like kind of speed date for I think a week or two, and then form connections. And if you make a deep enough connection with someone, you're allowed to get engaged. And then they send you on an engagement honeymoon for like a week. And then you get to spend time with your spouse as well, future spouse. And also meet some of the other people that you be dated. And then you have a couple more weeks to live together. I believe it's like 3 weeks. And then at the end of that time, the couple goes to the altar. So they have to like plan a wedding and then invite their family and friends. And then at the altar, decide whether they're going to go through with the marriage or not. Now, if I were to design this experiment, I wouldn't put people's family and friends through all of that. I would maybe just, skip the whole forcing people to plan the wedding and just like let them decide before the day of and like only see the weddings that, make it. But again, it's TV, it's, a lot of it's for drama, but it is kind of interesting to see, how compatibility works because it is true that a lot of times people do put a lot of emphasis on looks, and it's funny that, it takes a show like this to, get people to think differently about compatibility, especially because Nick Lachey, who's like from 98 Degrees, a boy band, I think it's his brainchild, or at least he has some kind of connection as like the show's host. And from what we can see, it's been a very big success from season one during the pandemic. A lot of people, were just really hooked on it. And Lauren and Karen is probably the most famous couple. They made me believe in the experiment, hands down. And from since then, it's very interesting how the different seasons have played out. I believe there are different people that do it just to be on TV now, just to be famous now. So it's not as, I guess, pure as season one. But apparently, the same producers that did season one and two also did season five. And I think season three and four had a separate producer, and season three and four was definitely more dramatic. Even though I think season four had the most like married couples, they did have people like, like Jackie and Marshall making a whole lot of drama. So let's get into season five because again, it seems to be going back to its roots with at least trying to weed out the people who are there for fame, but you can't quite, keep them away because there is still some mess and some mistakes that people are making, maybe for fame, but also maybe just because, love is hard. Besides being blind, it's very difficult, to figure out who and who should be with you. So let's get into the episode. Episode one. Um, there are a lot of people that we meet in the beginning that don't necessarily make it through the experiment. One man that we met, I guess, was Enoch, and I think he was saying he was looking for someone to be his piece when he was asked by Chandra, you know what, Chandra, sorry, what he was looking for. Chandra is a flight attendant. She also doesn't make it to like the matches in the main bulk of the intro episodes. Miriam is another person who shows up in this episode. She's a scientist, I guess, who lived in the Middle East and was saying she was gonna move back to America, but then kind of said she already moved back, so she was very confusing. And then you had Ernesto who burped and annoyed one of the main people who did make a match, which was Stacy. Now, when Stacy was first making a big deal out of the burp, I kind of felt bad for Ernesto because, again, they're in pods and there's like a wall between them. My guess is that he did not think that the burp would make it through the wall, but just the fact that Stacey heard, she kind of shamed him about it. So I think he was trying to be sneaky and like not say excuse me, because if he said excuse me and called attention to it, nobody would know if he was saying excuse me because of a fart or because of a burp, so maybe he wanted to just avoid all the embarrassment completely. But it didn't work because he just ended up getting dragged by Stacy for burping. It's always best to put your best foot forward, when you have these kinds of, speed dates and first dates. Because, the old saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though I think Stacey was being a little judgy, especially for like telling all the girls about it after the fact, um, you know, it's good to try to, show your best manners and all those types of things when you're meeting people for the first time. So yeah. Stacey, it seems like she's a little judgmental, but she's also like very fun and jokey as well. And the next kind of main character that you get is Izzy, who I call Mr. Lufferman. And all the ladies love Izzy. There's so many girls when they come back, they're like, "Oh, my main character is Izzy," and I think Izzy's appeal, at least speaking as a woman, is that he seems very respectful. He also seems very humble, and he does tell the story about like him being insecure because he was basically roasted by women for his bald head. Apparently, he had one time at a bar where someone literally snatched his hat off and saw his bald head and said ew and walked out the bar, which was very sad that someone was judging him that much. But I think because of it, he knows what it's like, to be treated superficially, and it made him, very open minded with the women and respectful. And on the one hand, it made him popular, but because of his popularity, he definitely was given the vibe that he was kind of, like playing the field, taking his time, not too serious about anybody, which really was a bad thing for Lydia, who fell for him really hard, and she gets dumped by him very early on in this episode. And when we meet Lydia again, she's another one of the main cast members. I thought that Milton was her best date. They were both into geology, but she turned him down because he was younger. I believe she's 30 and he's 24. And also probably because he might have been a little too nerdy for her. But at the same time, like I said, they had the same interests and the same level of geology knowledge. So I think maybe she's running from kind of herself. Maybe she felt like they were too similar. But when it comes to the age thing, it's like there is a thing of someone being too young. Um, in this case, they're both well over 18, and a 30-year-old and a 24-year-old could have a lot in common, especially in Milton's case because he is established, he has a good job, so in some ways he may even be more stable than Lydia, but she kind of put a wall up definitely because of the fact that I think she said he was younger than her little brother. So maybe in her mind, she kind of lumped it in that category. Next, you see Uche and Aaliyah. They get along very well at first, and you're thinking that it's going really, really well for them. But then the main drama of the episode, which I believe is like the title of the episode, it's like, so you're a recent cheater, right? That is the judgy line that Aaliyah gets from Uche after he asks her, has she ever cheated? And she's honest with him, and she tells the story about how she wasn't, I guess, satisfied in the bedroom in her last relationship, so she did seek that satisfaction elsewhere. And then Uche just clearly is not having it. He basically tells her that, that is something that is a terrible thing to do to someone. He asked her if she told the person that she cheated. She said she never told him. And he also asked, how recently did this happen? And she said it was 2 years ago. And he's like, wow, that's recent. She's like, really? Just 2 years? And he just keeps on making these digs at her, telling her that, she did not tell the person because she was being selfish and she didn't want to be judged, which is really all true, but he kind of should have did the compliment sandwich method, because he saved a nice positive thing for the end. And he should have kind of led with that because by the time he got to thanking her for sharing and telling her that it was a positive thing that she told the truth to him and opened up, he had already left in tears, feeling judged. So I think in the future, if you're going to, you know, deliver negative information like that to someone, because Uche had every right, to feel however he felt about it. But the best approach is the compliment sound. She should have led with "Thank you for sharing." It was brave of you. However, it does give me pause. That it seems like a selfish thing to not tell your partner. To cheat in X, Y, and Z, and blah, blah, blah. So if he had led a little bit more with the positive, I don't think Aaliyah would have felt as judged. And it's good advice again. Compliment sandwich goes a long way. But then it gets a little weird because when Aaliyah goes back, Lydia is the one who encourages her. And while it was nice that she, tried to be there for the other women, the way she encouraged Aaliyah gave me pause. She was like basically saying, "Oh, you are me, and I am you, and we are the same." And I was like, why is she getting so, I guess, attached to Aaliyah? So it kind of made me a little wary of Lydia. But I know later on in like the later episodes we find out kind of why she acted like this. But episode 1 where we're at right now, it seems like she's well intentioned, but it's a little creepy what she says to comfort Aaliyah. Um, Next in the episode, let's see, Izzy. Some of the other things he said to show that he's a good catch. He basically says that all men need therapy, and he again is very popular with a lot of the women. So Lydia liked him, but she gets up very early. But the two that he really has deep feelings for, and actually both like him as well, are Stacy and Johnny. All right, so Stacy again, she's the one that had judged Ernesto for burping, but around Izzy, she's super positive and they have a lot of fun. Johnny, she's a lawyer, and they get into deep conversation quickly. I think Izzy tells her that he was engaged before, and then Johnny tells Izzy that she was married before, and so they get pretty deep pretty fast. But from what I saw, I think Stacy and Izzy have more compatibility and more of what it takes to go the distance because they generally enjoy each other. Whereas with Izzy and Johnny seems to be a little bit more of a trauma bonding kind of thing because again they're talking about heavy stuff, but with Johnny it doesn't seem like her issues are all resolved per se, you know. And she has that moment in the confessional where she's like in tears, kind of saying that her mother tells her that maybe she's a person that maybe shouldn't be in relationships. And she talks about, you know, always attracting people who are dealing with addiction and like having all these negative relationships. So again, I think what her mother said was harsh, but your parents do know you well. So, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire, something there. So, um, does seem to me like Izzy and Stacy are a more positive bond. And Johnny, she also matches with a nice guy named Chris. I think they're way more compatible. Um, Chris loves dogs like Johnny. Their interactions are more positive. They like laugh a lot more, and it didn't get as heavy right away. But when you see the days later, Chris does open up about his experience of getting taken advantage of by a person who does not believe in consent. Because I can't say the words, I guess, on YouTube, but when he's on vacation, he basically tells this person no, but they still make advances on him, and Johnny responds very sweetly and basically is there for him. And it's very important again to know that men can be victims of unwanted advances, and it's very nice how Johnny was there for him. And again, I think that Chris and Johnny are a better match than Johnny and Izzy. So, last but not least, we also have JP the firefighter, who likes Taylor the kindergarten teacher, and they're a very cute match. Taylor says she didn't really love herself in the past, but now, she is doing better and she's ready for love. I wonder what she meant when she said she let herself go. In the past, when I've heard people say they let themselves go, it was more like they stopped taking care of themselves. Like, for example, like sometimes when women become mothers, they pour themselves into their children and everything, so they let themselves go. They might, stop caring about their appearance, stop taking care of themselves as much. And in Taylor's case, I don't know if she had a child or anything, but I don't think she has, but she did say that, she let herself go in some ways. Alright, so the last part of this episode would be that JP and Taylor, they have a very cute relationship. She heard him yawn and she held him accountable by making him do push-ups, which I thought was a good sign that she's not a pushover, and he was a good sport about it, which proves that he's a gentleman, he's very sweet. So I can see them working out, and I believe JP when he says that he can cook, since I heard that firefighters really throw down in the kitchen in the firehouses since they're there such long hours. And since 9/11, I have always had a great appreciation for firefighters. I used to bring flowers to my fire station, especially after 9/11. Um, but yeah, um, it's gonna have to be the case that I cut off this video and do something else for season 2 before because my headphones died. So we're gonna end it there. But just remember to like, share, and subscribe and comment on who you thought were good matches in the first episode. And I will see you in a bit for episodes 2 through 4. So in the meantime, remember, you're the master of your fate and the captain of your soul. Bye.